Welcome into another edition of Fourth Quarter Clutch. Today we'll be discussing Week 8 predictions for the NFL. There was a game last night, and it wasn't close by any stretch of the imagination. The Carolina Panthers just steamrolled the terrible Tampa Bay Buccaneers that are on pace for 0-16 season. Cam Newton just looked unbelievable, and yeah, there's not really anything else to say about the Thursday night game. But there are some interesting games which we will discuss in a little bit. But some of the storylines that we will touch very briefly, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to try and be the lone undefeated team in the AFC as they face the Cleveland Browns, who will be starting their third quarterback this season in Jason Campbell. And yeah, that should be a blowout. So there's not really much to say about that. Brian, do you have anything to add for that game?
8-0, baby. 8-0. Chiefs are going to be real happy with Andy Reid this year.
And as you said earlier, worst to first campaign should continue at least another week.
Yep, I think the Broncos in the end are going to come out on top on that one, just because they're gonna be able to. I think they're the one team that can really take down the Chiefs at this point. But definitely the most potential for worst to first on that.
Oh, I totally agree. And speaking of the Broncos, they have an interesting matchup this week as they play a really good offensive team. They're not a great offensive team. In the Washington Redskins with RG3, Pierre Garcon, Alfred Morris, Jordan Reed had an amazing game last week. Roy Halou, just offensive playmakers all over that team. The Broncos should win that game and stay within a game of the Kansas City Chiefs, but that should be an interesting game. Then you have Christian Ponder returning for the Vikings in a Sunday night game against the Green Bay Packers. The Packers should easily win that game because they have Aaron Rodgers, and there's not really much else to say for that game. And then the Monday night game, if you have nothing else better to do, it's the Seattle Seahawks against the St. Louis Rams. And the St. Louis Rams will start Kellen Clemens. And if you haven't heard of Kellen Clemens, it's okay. He's making his first start since 2011 season. So don't really expect much against the dominant Seahawks defense.
Get him in your fantasy team.
But yeah, really. if you have Seahawks defense on your fantasy team, just sit by the computer and just look at the points total because it's just going to go up, 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 up the entire game.
No, I was talking about Kellen Clemens. You got to get him on your fantasy team. Just messing.
Oh, yeah. If you get points for interceptions and fumbles, he'll be number one this week.
Yes.
But on to the main games. The first main game that we're going to discuss is a division rivalry game in the AFC East between the Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots at Foxborough. Brian, what are your thoughts on this game?
This is like a serious situation for the Dolphins. They've lost several games in their last couple. They started off great, 3-0, but then they've dropped their last 3 games. So I see a lot of problems here, especially tight ends are destroying them. Jordan Cameron destroyed them, 100 yards and a touchdown. Coby Fleener got about 70 yards and a touchdown. And then Jimmy Graham over 102 touchdowns against them. So, in recent weeks, Ed Dixon, he only had about 50 yards or something like that. And Scott Chandler only got two catches last week against them. But the big deal is, those guys, they don't have the talent level that Gronkowski has. And he's looking very healthy. He had a great game last week. So I really don't see the Dolphins having much of a chance in this game. I think they'll keep it sort of close, but I still see Patriots by at least 7, probably 10. This game is really not much of a huge deal, but I think they'll keep it close until the end.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. What are you thinking about the Cowboys and the Lions this week, Noah?
Honestly, I am really hoping that the Giants-Eagles game becomes a blowout so I could watch the Cowboys-Lions game because that is going to be an epic game. 2 offensive powerhouses going against each other. Cowboys led by Tony Romo having the best year of his career so far. And an amazing receiving core. Dez Bryant, Jason Witten. Miles Austin is probably unlikely to play. Terrence Williams, and then you got for the Detroit Lions, Matthew Stafford at quarterback, having another great year. Calvin Johnson, and it doesn't even matter who the rest of the receiving core is for the Detroit Lions because they have Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson can catch anything. If you saw the blog earlier in the week, Calvin Johnson made an amazing catch with 3 defenders around him. You
Clutch
can't
play
stop
of the
him.
week, baby.
You can't stop him. You just have to pray that he somehow misses the ball and that you don't get in the picture.
You gotta stuff him at the line. You gotta stuff him at the line. It's the only way to keep Calvin Johnson away from the ball.
I totally agree. Before I read one thing today, I would have said the Lions were going to win this game. But there was a report today that Reggie Bush did not practice today. And that is a pretty big deal because Reggie Bush is the second most dynamic player for that team. And without Reggie Bush, they are not the same offense. Here's
I'm going to say
Tim.
third, actually. I'm going to say third behind Matt Stafford because he's a really ridiculous player. So I got to say
second receiving option.
Okay, yeah. I'll agree
and,
with you on that.
Tim 20 Man, a very interesting Twitter name, posted that at 11:41 this morning, and he apparently had his right leg wrapped at Friday's practice. And the thing that's kind of concerned is that he had an injury early on this year to his left knee. So who knows if he's going to suit up. He should be able to play, but that's not a very, very telling sign. I think the Cowboys win this game, and I think the Lions are going to use running back Joique Bell a lot this game. So in fantasy leagues, pick him up and potentially start him. Wait until 11, 12 o'clock. We'll post a fantasy update then and see if he's playing.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I have to say, I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Cowboys-Lions game is going to be a close game, though. I think they'll, especially with the Lions being at home, I think they'll keep it to like a 4-point game, something like that. Maybe even a 3-point game. It'll be a close game.
I think if Reggie Bush plays, then it'll be like that. I think if Reggie Bush doesn't play, it's gonna be a 10-point win for the Cowboys.
Okay, I'd probably put it at 7 if he doesn't play, but okay.
And the next game we're going to discuss is the game that's most likely going to be on around the country at 1 o'clock on Fox, an NFC East division rivalry game against two really, really bad teams, the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles. Brian, what are your thoughts on this game?
The good news is it's going to be a close game. No, I don't know. This could be with Michael Vick coming back. I see the Eagles taking this game for sure. But the Giants played pretty well against the Vikings, and with that sort of situation, I mean, it's not a great, amazing win because the Vikings they only have one win. They're going up against a much better defense in the Eagles this week. My big thing to watch in this game is how the Giants defense does against the Philadelphia Eagles offense. We'll see what happens with that, because if Vic goes off, this game could be a big time blowout. I mean, it really could. But I mean, if the Giants step it up, if they actually put some pressure on Vic, keep him in the pocket, take him down a few times, which they haven't done all season, so I don't see it happening. But if by some chance, because division games are huge, if they actually do that, they could keep it slightly close. I still have the Eagles by at least 7. I'd say probably 10 points. I think probably 10-point game, Eagles over the Giants in this game.
That sounds about right. And Eli's going to have to throw a lot this game. I don't know if you can trust him throwing the ball right now.
Absolutely. We'll see. We'll see if the JHC hits again, the Jekyll and Hyde condition. See if that continues.
Man, that Giants team is in a lot of trouble.
Absolutely. All right, Noah. So, what are you thinking about? Help me out here.
New York Jets.
Yes, that's right. The Jets and the Cincinnati Bengals. Jets at Cincinnati Bengals. What's the deal on this one, Noah? What do you think?
Well, the Jet fan me is telling me that to expect a letdown after the Patriots, after they beat the Patriots last week, and it's usually like every other for the Jets. They have a really good week, and then they have a really bad week. But the telling sign for the Jets is that Leon Hall, the quarterback for the Bengals, arguably the best quarterback on that team, suffered an ACL injury, is done for the year. So that should allow Stephen Hill and Jeremy Curley to have success down the field against the Cincy defense. But the thing that I'm going to find very interesting is how star cornerback Antonio Cromartie for the Jets matches up against Bengals superstar receiver A.J. Green, because that guy is having another amazing year, and that guy is really tough to stop. So it'll be interesting to see if the Jets are going to go in a zone coverage to try and stop him, or if they're going to rely on Cromartie to stop him one-on-one. I see the Bengals winning this game because they have the better all-around team. Not by much, but definitely the better all-around team. But I think it's going to be within 7 points. I think it might come down to the wire.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one for sure. I think the big key to this one is how the Bengals run the ball. If they can get a decent run game going, the Jets have a great run defense, a phenomenal run defense right now. So like top 3 or 4 in the league. But if they can actually run the ball a little bit, that'll open up some holes for AJ Green to get a couple of nice plays. So I really think that it comes down to that run game. If they don't get it going though, I don't see them doing a whole ton against the Jets secondary if they have to throw a lot. But I mean we'll see what happens. I agree with you though. I still think it's going to be Bengals by a small margin.
And also 2 big things to add for one of them is really huge for the Miami Dolphins New England Patriots game. Michael Whitmer reported earlier today, Danny Amendola said he's ready to go for the Sunday game against Miami.
Yep. So I would start dropping Kimbrel Tompkins in your fantasy leagues at this point because he's below Julian Edelman on the depth chart actually, and with Danny Amendola coming back, Edelman's even going to take a slight hit in his numbers. So we'll see what happens, but a lot of receiving options there.
And then the other big news, and this was prior to the Thursday night game, Buck sources told NFL Network's Ian Rappaport it's no guarantee that head coach Greg Schiano keeps his job through the end of the season. And one player said that playing for Schiano is like being in Cuba.
Oh, okay.
So not a telling sign for a team that has not won a game yet this year.
Yeah, an 0-7 team. I wouldn't be surprised if they make a move in the middle of the season here. I wouldn't be surprised at all. To start a season 0-7, that it's just that. And if players are coming out and saying that kind of stuff, that's just another bad sign.
2 quick questions for you. Over under. Jaguars getting a win by week 12.
No. Over. It's going to take longer than that.
I definitely agree. What about the Buccaneers getting a win by week 12?
I'm going to say under on that one. Yeah. I think they'll get it in the next couple of weeks here.
Who do you think the Buccaneers could beat that they would get a win by week 12?
Honestly, I don't remember their schedule here.
They play Seattle next week. Then they play Miami, then they play Atlanta, and then they play Detroit.
I could say Miami or Atlanta there. They could get a win against Miami, especially. Miami isn't a huge scoring team, so that could be a close game right there. And they haven't been playing great as of late.
I'm going to say Jaguars go 0-16 this season. And I will say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win their first game of the season, Week 16, against Kellen Clemens and the St. Louis Rams.
Okay.
Especially if Doug Martin is back by then, they have just enough talent to win a game.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I think that Miami Dolphins game could be a really close game though, but we'll have to see if they step it up in the next few weeks here.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Fourth Quarter Clutch NFL Week 8 predictions. Tune in later in the week as we will be doing World Series live blogging for Game 3, Boston Red Sox versus St. Louis. And it's a 1-1 series. It's going to be a nail-biter game. And on Sunday, we'll be doing a fantasy football injury report. We'll do a quick update prior to the games, so you can check the blog and set your roster. And hopefully, you're not the person that's going to be starting Roddy White or an injured player this week that may not play. I'm Noah Weintraub, and with me as always is Brian Zeigler. Thank you for tuning in.